Hello, and welcome back to Scary Shanon channel. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more scary videos. People are social animals. In general, we like to meet people. We have different kind of experiences in meeting people. However, the mainstream TV shows try to paint the picture of meeting people or friends in an always perfect way. Because certain types of interaction can make people uncomfortable. Here are some true stories of creepy and horrific encounters. So don't do these things if you don't want to be creepy. Number 3. The AOL Creep. Way back in 2000, I was a bored 15-year-old girl and began exploring AOL chat rooms. I recently left public school and moved to a new city that I've never more than passed through, and so I was a bit lonely. I thought it would be cool if I could link up with people my age in my new area. I've always been cautious with my personal info, so I wasn't too worried about anything bad happening. I ended up meeting my boyfriend through one of the chat rooms. Things moved quickly, and I was soon pregnant and engaged. We got our own place. Life was good. We still used AIM to message each other when he was at work, and frequently, we would also chat with our friends in the chat rooms. Some of my old online contacts would message from time to time, but honestly, I mainly chatted with people I knew in real life. When our son was about 6 months old, we moved into a larger apartment. My fiancé, Jake, began working long shifts, and so I was home alone a lot with the baby. One evening, I was in a chat with a friend when someone else sent me an instant message. I wasn't sure who it was, but she began casually chatting with me, and it seemed remotely normal at first. I was still confused as to who this was, and so she sent me a photo. She didn't look familiar. I continued the conversation because I started to think maybe my fiancé and the friend were just messing with me, because he liked to joke around like that. But after a bit of dull, awkward conversation and my refusing to allow them to view my webcam, this person sends me a photo of a middle-aged man. Confused, I asked who it was and why they sent it. They gave me some line like, "Oh, that's my friend John. Don't you think he's handsome?" I immediately knew that this wasn't right or a joke from anyone I knew. It was clear that I'd been messaged by this guy all along, pretending to be another teenage girl. I initially cut off contact, but after a couple days of thought, I was just creeped out and actually called and cancelled my AOL service. A week or so after this, my brother-in-law, Mark, and his wife, Lynn, moved in with us. It was early evening on a Friday, and Mark, Lynn, and I were getting some food and drinks ready before Jake got home. I was just in the kitchen, and Mark was just a few feet away in the living room with Lynn. We were chatting and laughing when the phone rang. I answered the line in the kitchen. It was a man, and he greeted me by my first name in a very creepy tone and seemed to be keeping his voice low. I had that feeling in the pit of my stomach that something was very wrong. I asked, "Who is this?" Mark took notice and asked me who it was. He must have noticed the change in my tone because he glanced at me and then went straight into his room to pick up the other line and listen. The man on the phone must have heard Mark because he then said to me, "Well, I see you have company," in a pretty disgruntled tone, and then quickly hung up. I didn't have caller ID at that time, so we dialed *69 to get the number. When I called it back, it was a hotel in a neighboring city about 15 minutes away. I asked the clerk who answered the phone, but they informed me that there was no way to tell what room it was placed from. I knew it wasn't anyone I know. My phone line was only active for a couple of months at that point, was listed under my name, but I'd only given it out to family and a few close friends. We didn't know what to make of it, and as the night went on, it was forgotten. The week came and went. I received a couple calls from blocked numbers where no one responded, but I tried to convince myself that I was simply worrying too much and that it was no big deal. We prepared for another weekend, hanging out together. Again, Mark, Lynn, and I were home, and Jake was still at work. We needed a few things from the store, so Mark volunteered to go get them, while Lynn and I stayed with the kids. Now, the small building we lived in had 3 apartments on the lower level, side by side, and 3 units above on the upper level. Kind of like a motel. Our unit was the last to the right on the lower level and the furthest from the parking lot. When you exit our apartment to make your way to the parking lot, you walk down a cement walkway and past the other 2 lower apartments. When you get to the end of the building, there's an area between the deck staircase to the upper level and the building where a couple bicycles were stored. This is only residential property in that area, and the surrounding businesses and offices were closed at the time of the evening. Mark exited the apartment but came running back in just a few moments later. He asked me if I was expecting company. When I told him no, he told me this. When he began walking past the other apartments to the lot, a man dressed in dark clothing with a hood on had snuck out of the bicycle area and began walking towards our apartment with his head down. Once he noticed Mark coming straight towards him, he turned and ran. We all just sat nervously for a few minutes because we were all thinking the same thing. That it was the man who called me, and that man was the girl from the chat room. I just have no clue how he would have found out my number, unless maybe I'd given it to someone previously, thinking that they were someone else, but it was really him. I don't know how advanced people hacking skills were back then, and if they could have found out my info through AOL service, but I definitely regretting chatting away my boredom. After this, we moved to a different town, and I never listed a landline number in my name again, and definitely never went back into those chat rooms. So yeah, whoever you were, let's not meet. And that's a true horror encounters from Let's Not Meet. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.